Welcome to the Spooky Scary Show. We are two friends in two different states who discuss all things spooky, scary, and just downright strange. We read new stories every week. If you would like to suggest a topic or submit a paranormal story, email us at spookyscaryshow@gmail.com and follow us on Instagram and Facebook for spooky facts and updates.
Hello, ghosties and Pinky. How are ya?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing dandy. I gotta figure out a better, intro or greeting.
I know we say the same thing every time.
Yep, and I have been trying...
What's up? Yeah.
And I start every segment with a heavy sigh. You're like, so, how are you this week? And I'm like... Therapist Pinky, let me tell you some shit, okay?
I know. I've noticed that. I'm like, we say the same thing. We're always complaining.
Oh my god. Okay, so, ghosties. My sister actually had her baby right after we got done recording. It was crazy, it was great, and the most embarrassing thing happened, and I've been dying to tell Pinky. So, Pinky, are you ready?
I'm ready, I want to know.
Okay. I had to hold this all week from you. Okay. See? Heavy sigh. Therapist Pinky. I hope you're ready.
See my chart.
Right. Okay. So, my brother, he's a bachelor. And as you ghosties may know, I am also single. Whatever. So, he's always had this joke. If he sees a super, you know where this is going, oh god. If you see a super hot person, nurse, woman, whatever, like you say, oh, there goes my future ex-wife, the way I take the joke is it's kind of like a stab at oh my gosh, they're so hot, I'm never gonna see them again, hence ex-wife or ex-husband, right? So, yo bitches, single, okay? And I'm ready. Not really ready to mingle, but I was like, I want to play the game. Josh, my brother, his name's Josh, was showing me around the hospital because it's huge and he works on hospitals as an IT guy, so he knows his way around. So I was like, can you take me down to the lunchroom so I can get some lunch? And he's like, okay, great. We were kind of walking through and he made a comment, oh, there goes my future ex-wife or whatever. And so we're waiting in line, and this guy... He's like the security guard guy, but he has the dog, right? So I was losing my shit over the dog, and I'm like, how dare they put a cute little dog in front of me that I can't pet because, he's like a canine thing. So I was like, I don't know. He was walking around us, and I don't know about you, but I always get super paranoid that I'm magically gonna have some weed in my pocket to set the dog off.
I do the same thing. I was like, I would never.
I don't even, yeah, but so I was kind of getting uncomfortable. I was like, oh fuck, and then I was like, no, chill out, you good. Anyways, so pay for our stuff, we go back up the elevator. So mind you, I saw a second ex-husband, okay? He was a buff nurse, and he was tattooed, and he was going into the surgery people area. I was like, okay, well, there goes my future ex-husband, whatever. I get back into my sister's room. They were resting, the baby was sleeping, but she was awake. Anyway, so I was like, Faith, I just saw my future ex-husband, and he has a dog, so I know he's a dog person, so it's gonna be great. Immediately, my brother-in-law was like, no, well, what does he look like? And he was, asking me all these questions. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I think he's about your height. My sister then proceeds to bring out her phone and bring up a picture of the dude. It was when you walk through hospitals, there'd be, a picture of, a doctor or, whatever, so you get to see the familiar faces. Of who works. So it was one of those employee pictures. And I was like, fuck. I think they actually know him. And I was like, I don't know. So my brother walks over to check Faith's phone to look at the picture of the guy, and he's a very serious dude, and he's like, yep, that's him. And then all of a sudden, my brother-in-law was like, that's my best friend! And then my sister's like, oh! And then everybody was like making like a big deal about it and was like yelling, and my sister's like, hook it up! And I was like, no, please! I'm sorry! It was a joke! I shouldn't have ever said anything! And then they were all teasing me, and I was like, I'm never playing this game again! And it turns out my future ex-husband knows that he's my future ex-husband because they have told him, and I've met him before.
That's funny. That's so great.
Yeah.
Who is it?
I don't want to say it on here, but
Why not?
I guess I've just met him when we went out to Denim and Diamonds like a long time ago. But obviously I was with Charlie, so I don't remember.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I thought that was going to be a lot worse, like you peeing your pants or something, not them knowing a guy. I'd be like, oh yeah, you know him? Okay, cool, I got the in.
No. Not ready. No, it's gonna be so embarrassing. Like, if I do see him, he's gonna be like, hey, I don't know. Like, this chick, you want some fuck? And I'll be like, no, I'm sorry. What's your game?
You want some fuck? That's so funny.
Want some fuck?
Do you remember the guy that we, like, totally weirded out?
No.
I was just, like, extremely aggressive and, like, how you doing? And he was just like, what the actual fuck? We called him on Skype.
Alpha
and he
female?
was just like, yeah, he was just like, He was not into it at all. I was like, okay, bye.
Okay, bye. Sorry.
Oh, I can't believe you don't remember that. You called him with me.
Dude, back in the day, man, do you remember good old, what is it, Omegle?
Yes.
Or, like, Stickam?
Yes. Oh, we had so much fun on Stickam.
Yeah, just get drunk and
do the same thing we're doing.
Penises. Yeah. But
minus
no
the penises. Well, the Stickam was cool because it was kind of like we were live on video and people could come join us.
Yeah, that was really fun. We should try, I don't know, maybe we can stream on Twitch or something.
Yeah,
if we get ghosties.
They don't have anything fun like with the video chat like they did. Like, Stickam was the shit. I was so sad when it went down. Well,
Let's sigh.
Anyway, nostalgia, old times.
Mm-hmm.
Me being aggressive. Yep. Michaela not being
scaring
aggressive.
away them boys. I know. Passive. Wait, no. Passive aggressive is mean. I'm not passive. I don't know. Not here. I'm sorry. Any hooser, what is our topic this week, Pinky?
This week we are talking about crime-solving critters. What is your story for us today, Dolly?
Mine is really cool because it's like science too. But the main guy, his name is Vincent Brothers, but it's one guy. So to me, when I was first reading it, I was like, the Vincent Brothers, but it's just a dude. I'll just call him Vincent to prevent any confusion. So, Vincent was 46 years old, and he lived in Bakersfield, California. Vincent had a great job as the vice principal at the Fremont School and had a adoring wife. Her name was Joni Harper. And they had three beautiful children, 4-year-old Marquise, 23-month-old Lindsay, and 6-week-old Marshall.
Jesus.
So babies.
Lots of babies.
Yeah. So it sounds like, a pretty average guy, right? Well, what makes Vincent different is the fact that he actually savagely murdered 5 members of his family, including his own innocent children, in cold blood.
Oh, God.
So the relationship with Vincent and Joni had not been without its share of troubles. Joni gave birth to Marquise Juan in 1998. Vincent was not present for his birth, and the two married in 2000. Despite separating a month later, Joni gave birth to Lindsay later that year. Vincent was again absent from that delivery.
Shitty.
The marriage was annulled in 2001, with Vincent citing irreconcilable differences and Joni citing fraud, allegedly because at the time of the marriage she had no knowledge of Vincent's 2 previous marriages. Despite all the ups and downs, family and friends all agree that Joni loved Vincent deeply and was eager for them to be a family, and they continued to have an on and off again relationship. Most people never knew about Vincent's Jekyll and Hyde personality, and those who did certainly never knew the extent of his capabilities. So in January of 2003, Joni and Vincent remarried, and in May, baby Marshall was born. Although Vincent had moved out of the family's home in April due to the discord between he and his mother-in-law, Ernestine, he was present for Marshall's birth, and for a little while things seemed fine. On July 6, 2003, Joni, her mother Ernestine, and the 3 children attended church services. Although Vincent had left town 4 days prior to the family visit in Ohio, it was a special day, with Joni showing off Marshall to the church members for the first time. So she's like, here's my newborn baby. After morning services, the Harpers met up with friends, including Joni's best friend, Kelsey, for lunch, then went home to rest until evening services. However, they never made it to those evening services. After calls from friends and family went unanswered, Kelsey decided to stop by the house. She hadn't seen Joni since 2 days earlier, and it was unlike Joni to ignore her calls. Although the house looked fine from the outside, Kelsey found that the door wouldn't open after she used her key to unlock it. So she went around to the patio door and, finding it unlocked, let herself in. Her panicked call to 911 came in just after 7 a.m. Police arrived within minutes to find the house of horror. This is the content warning. If you have little children, you don't want to listen to this part, so probably skip like 20 seconds. First, police found Ernestine. She had been shot twice in the face at close range and was laying in the hallway near her bedroom. In another bedroom, police found the bodies of Joni and the children still laying in the same spots they had lain Sunday to nap after church. Joni was found face down on her bed, dead from several bullet and stab wounds to her head, chest, and back. Lindsay lay on her left side at the foot of the bed in her little blue dress. She had been killed with a single gunshot wound to the back. Marquise was beside the mother on the bed and was covered by a sheet. Police theorized that he had wakened before the murders. He was found with his eyes open and a gunshot wound to the right side of his head. He was like 24 months old, you animal.
Terrible.
Sick. Authorities say he had been so frightened immediately before his death that he had bitten his right hand down to the bone. Fuck this guy. Marshall was thought to be missing, but after search, he was found under a pillow near his mother. He had been shot in the back, just as his sister had.
What the actual fuck?
Oh, yeah. So I guess Marshall was the little baby, but yeah.
Oh, Marshall was the baby. I was thinking Marquise, but that was the older boy. That's so sad.
Oh, that's so fucked. Like, little baby.
Like, why children?
Mm-hmm. Oh, we'll get to it. Fucking piece of stuff, let me tell ya. Police tracked down Vincent at his mother's home in North Carolina and broke the news about his family's murders. Although he was the only person suspected of the crime, he had left for vacation 4 days prior to the murders, and police couldn't immediately disprove his alibi. However, a neighbor in Bakersfield reported seeing Vincent near the Harper home around the time of the murders. Rental records for the car Vincent rented in Ohio showed that he put 5,400 miles on it, which was more than enough to travel from Ohio to California and back.
Jeez.
In addition, an entomologist who examined the car found bug parts from species only found west of the Rocky Mountains, although Vincent maintained he had never left the eastern part of the country. And this is where we kind of get into where critters solve crimes.
Yeah, science, bitch!
So this is the entomologist's story about her whole, experience. So this is, her side of the story. So when 2 FBI agents and a Bakersfield detective hauled a radiator and an air filter, both splattered with insects, into UC Davis Bohart Museum of Entomology, so a bug museum, they were not there to contribute to the museum's 7 million insect collection. They wanted the museum director, Lynn Kimsey, a professor of entomology, to identify the insects and their geographical home for an upcoming mass murder trial. And this is what she said. She's a bad bitch. I saw it as a puzzle to be solved, Kimsey said, of the car parts embedded with several hundred insects. I've never heard of anyone doing this. In a recent telephone interview, Lisa Green, the deputy district attorney who prosecuted the case, described Kimsey as an excellent witness and extremely knowledgeable. From the prosecution's point of view, half of the battle is being able to have a witness knowledgeable in their field and the ability to explain that knowledge, Green said, noting that Kimsey is not only an expert in her field, but a teacher. Mm. She taught me about insects so I could understand the field and feel familiar enough to cross-examine their defense witness, Green added. Her help was invaluable. Kimsey described the experience as interesting but terrifying at the same time. I didn't know anything about the court case, she added. I couldn't even identify the defendant when I entered the courtroom. The insect evidence corroborated with the mileage on the vehicle, which had to have been driven west, Green said. Kimsey, one of the 137 witnesses called to testify in the internationally publicized case, told the court that several insect species picked from the car parts are only found in the West, and one was abundant in California. They included a large grasshopper, a paper wasp, and 2 true bugs. A true bug is a wingless or 4-winged insect in the order of Hemipteria?
Sure.
Yeah? Sure. Let's go with that. With mouth parts adapting for piercing and sucking.
Ooh.
Gross.
I know some people like that.
Oh, you do?
Just kidding.
Like a mosquito. The grasshopper is found in the Great Plains and eastern slope of the Rockies. The paper wasp's territory is west of the 100th meridian, with California as its center of abundance. Kimsey pointed out during the trial, in addition, she had said that 2 true bugs are also found only in the West. Both are found in Southern California, Arizona, and Utah. Bitch! No, I'm just kidding. She recalled that when she and senior museum scientist Steve Hayden picked off the insects from the car parts, it took them 7 or 8 hours to do so.
Jesus.
This is crazy. And I quote, "We found no butterflies, no painted ladies, no sulfur butterflies. That indicated to us that the car wasn't driven during the day, but at night. The insects we found were consistent with the 2 major routes to get to California from the east," said Kimsey, adding that the court testimony revealed 4,500 unaccountable for miles on the rental car. Right? During her 5-hour testimony, illustrated with a PowerPoint presentation, hold up, 5 hours.
That's crazy.
Insane.
That's like a whole workday. She spent her whole workday talking about bugs on a car.
Bugs.
Oh, God.
Jesus. I would be asleep if I was the juror.
Right. Ugh.
The UC Davis entomologist showed the distribution of the insects on the U.S. map and compared insect photos from the car parts with the specimens from the Bohart Museum. So she's like, this is what this bug looks like, and this is what this bug looks like. Kimsey identified the large grasshopper by its leg, comparing the size, coloration, and markings to a specimen at the museum. She testified that the hind legs of the grasshopper help us identify the species. The size of the legs, red with black markings, indicated that the grasshopper measured close to 2 inches long. The jury seemed very interested in what I had to say, said Kimsey. I hope so. Following her testimony, the defense called 4 entomologists to counter her evidence. 3 from Purdue University and 1 from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. The defense tried to make a case that insects are easily distributed. Kimsey said they also questioned her expertise in diagnostics, systematics, fieldwork, and publications. But Green, the prosecutor, said it was evident that the defense witness did not have near the expertise or the credentials of Kimsey. She was, I guess a little background on Kimsey. She was trained by the world-renowned UC Davis entomologist Richard M. Bohart, who passed away earlier this year, who founded the Bohart Museum in 1946. So that's a little bit of her credentials. But going back to the case, one of Vincent's alibis was a pair of store receipts for items bought in North Carolina on the day of the murders. Upon examination of those credit card receipts and store surveillance, it was found that Vincent's brother, Melvin, had been using Vincent's card and forging his signature.
Oh, damn.
So he had people, his own family. Initially, Melvin lied when confronted about it, but later admitted that he had done so at Vincent's urging.
Bitch, this guy thought he was getting away with it for sure.
100%. He's like, I mean, No.
It's like rock solid alibi. There's no way they'll figure this out. When in reality,
I wasn't
like,
here.
it's not that hard to figure out because he put the miles on that car. Like,
Yeah.
That's...
Put the miles and the bugs. So it's like, I wouldn't even think to rip the radiator out and give it to someone and be like, hey, I need you to find bugs.
It's so smart.
It is. It's crazy. The prosecution alleged that Vincent had carried on several extramarital relationships and that his motives for the killings was greed. Vincent had wanted to relieve himself of the burden of supporting his growing family.
Jesus fucking Christ.
So, fuck you. Don't have kids. Just, I hate you. I hate you so much. On May 15th, 2007, Vincent was found guilty of 5 counts of first-degree murder and a special circumstance of multiple murders, and on September 27th, he was sentenced to death by lethal injection by Judge Michael Bush.
Good job.
Yeah. Good fucking riddance.
So terrible.
Children.
Just because, like, he was tired of paying for them.
Jekyll and Hyde
don't pay for them then. You don't have to murder them. That's absolutely insane. I can't. Alright, so my story has a similar, like, DNA background stuff, but it's not bugs. It's called How Animal DNA Puts Killers Behind Bars. Dogs may be man's best friend, but they and other pets may also hold the keys to solving crimes against their human companions. Animal DNA now stands at the forefront of forensic science, in part because advanced testing and dog and cat databases are helping law enforcement catch criminals. In recent years, hair, blood, saliva, and other bodily fluids from dogs, cats, and birds have helped solve several violent crimes in the U.S. and Canada, with 68% of American households owning a pet, which is 85 million families.
Dang.
Yeah, so there's a
lot of people.
For sure. A lot of people have pets. There's a lot of opportunity for animals to inadvertently be of assistance to criminal investigations.
I mean, I'm just saying, if I wind up dead, one of y'all better pull through. I mean, I got a dog.
They definitely gonna have cat hair and dog hair on them for sure.
Everywhere.
And people don't think of that shit, you know? Like, if you're thinking about murdering someone, well, it's like you don't want to leave your hair or your DNA behind, but, like, also you can't pick up anybody else's pet DNA.
Anything, really. It's crazy. Like, the tiniest little skin cell that you can get if you scratch someone, you know.
You get caught.
That'll solve your crime. Just scratch them.
They say that,
Anyways.
that you should try to get DNA under your fingernails and shit if you can.
Mm-hmm.
A&E Real Crime Profiles 4 instances where animal evidence helped solve a violent crime and put a killer behind bars. The Heroic Cockatoo, the murder of Kevin Butler. On Christmas Eve, 2001, in the Pleasant Grove section of Dallas, Texas, Johnny Cerna and Daniel Torres broke into the apartment of Kevin Butler in a hunt for valuables after a long-running dispute with Butler over money. During a knife struggle among the men, Butler's white-crested cockatoo, a bird named after basketball great Larry Bird, swooped down on the perpetrators, pecking their head and hands. Unfortunately...
That's right, you get him.
Right. Go, cockatoo!
Go get him!
Unfortunately, despite the bird's heroic efforts, Butler was stabbed to death and the killers escaped. Police found Bird's lifeless, featherless body at the apartment. The cockatoo had been stabbed with a fork.
That's so fucked! It's not even a knife!
Yeah.
You couldn't even just... Oh, I hate it.
Poor buddy.
I know, and the fork just pop.
Yeah. While protecting his owner and ultimately sacrificing his own life, Bird helped convict the killers. Investigators found Daniel Torres' DNA on a light switch at Butler's home after being pecked in the head by the bird. Torres touched his wound and then touched the switch, leaving behind the valuable evidence. DNA evidence was also found on the cockatoo's beak and claws and on the bloody knives found at the scene. Torres was convicted of capital murder and sentenced to life in prison. Serna was also sentenced to life in prison for his role in the murder. When there is an animal case involving an atypical species such as a bird, turtle, or even camels, forensic scientists have the flexibility, unlike human DNA specialists, to develop special tests or analysis to pinpoint evidence, says Christina Lindquist, Director of Forensics at University of California, Davis Veterinary Genetics Laboratory, the only accredited DNA animal forensic lab in the U.S. As animal scientists, we never know what's going to come in, but because we can develop analysis in-house, we can provide strong and interesting clues to law enforcement, says Lindquist. So that was that one. I have a bunch of, little blurbs.
I like it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's interesting that they can, that it's different for human DNA, like what she said.
Yeah, that's true. And just, I still can't get over the fact that he pecked the guy and then pecked the light switch and then smeared probably, the tiniest little boop amount. And they're like, oop, got him.
The bird pecked the guy in the head, and the guy touched his head. And then he touched the light switch.
Oh,
so he left, blood. He left his DNA because he got pecked.
Idiot. Gotcha.
This one is the cat convicts. The murder of Shirley Dugway. When mother of 5, Shirley Dugway, vanished without a trace from her Prince Edward Island home in October 1994, police suspected her common-law husband, Douglas Beamish, whom she had left 2 years prior. Friends and neighbors told investigators about the couple's brutal 12-year relationship and Beamish's violent past, which included stints in prison.
Oh, that's so sad.
But the police were stumped because they had nothing to connect Beamish with the crime. 3 days later, during a massive manhunt of the island, investigators found a bag that contained a jacket and shoes stained with Dugway's blood. Tests revealed Beamish had the same shoe size and the soles had been worn in such a way that was consistent with his gait, but still nothing conclusive for the crime. Yet, tucked away inside the jacket lining were 20 white cat hairs. The evidence might have gotten lost in the shuffle, except for the work of one policeman, Constable Roger Savoy. He noticed a white cat, Snowball, at Beamish's house during an earlier interview. Convinced there was a connection against all odds, as animal DNA had yet to be used in a court case in Canada, Savoy found a geneticist in the U.S. who confirmed the hair was Snowball's.
Dang.
Right? Like I was saying, you gonna have cat hair on you if somebody kills you. And they gonna have cat hair.
It's gonna be everywhere.
They're gonna have cat hair on them, too. Beamish was sentenced to 18 years to life on July 19, 1996. Diane Balkin, senior staff attorney at the Animal Legal Defense Fund, says law enforcement should investigate any pets when a homicide involves a domestic partnership. Cats have a huge amount of fur transfer, says Balkin. Pay attention if there is a litter box. Dogs that are transported in cars can lick windows or leave nose prints or paw prints. Also, just be aware if there is violence against a woman, an animal can be involved as well. The next one. Dogs used as weapons. The murder of Oluwaseyi Ongwanyemi. I'm just going to call him Saye from now on because that is freaking ridiculous. 2 pit bulls were used to hunt and attack 16-year-old Saye in South London in April 2009 during a rival gang attack. The dog's owner, Christian Johnson, let the dogs go, and the animals ripped clothes off the fleeing boy and bit him repeatedly. Saye tried to climb over a fence, but the dogs repeatedly pulled him down to where the boy was stabbed repeatedly until he died.
Ugh.
A police investigation revealed 2 gangs were operating in the area where the attack took place, but detectives had little else to go on until they found a blood trail left by one of the dogs used in the attack, which they followed to Johnson. Using pioneering DNA techniques, scientists were able to conclusively link the saliva and blood to Johnson's pets, an adult male pit bull mastiff cross named Tyson and an adult female pit bull Staffordshire cross called Mia. The samples collected provided the DNA was 1 billion times more likely to come from those 2 dogs than any other animal.
Shit, billion.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Johnson was later convicted of murder. It was the first time the new DNA techniques were used in a murder trial in the UK. When dogs attack, we get evidence on clothing, and we can pinpoint the saliva on the clothes and then compare to enormous dog and cat databases to find the perpetrators, says Lindquist.
What a way to go. That's insane. To have, like,
terrifying
dogs, like, attack you, like, oh my gosh, German Shepherds, I can't even imagine, like, either, just, like, attack you, and then, oh my god, that's brutal.
Yeah, he had, like, no chance of escaping because of the dogs.
God.
He got stabbed to death by the guy.
Yeah, because every time he'd, like, fall down, he'd stab him. At that point, it's kind of like a game. It sounded like a, I mean, obviously, it probably didn't go on for long at all, but, oh my gosh, that's insane.
That's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
This next one is called Missing Child Found Using Dog Hairs, the Murder of Danielle Van Dam. In February 2001, 7-year-old Danielle Nicole Van Dam disappeared from her bed in San Diego. Her frantic parents didn't know exactly when she disappeared, at night or early the following morning, and police had very little to work on. Then a suspect slowly shifted into view. David Westerfield, who lived alone across from the Van Dam house. He was a meticulous gardener who left his house the morning Danielle was discovered missing. While other neighbors assisted in searching for the missing girl, Westerfield packed up his RV and left.
Oh, God. That's not obvious.
No, right? Make yourself look a little suspicious, why don't you? Because of Westerfield's suspicious behavior, police obtained a search warrant for his house. Inside, police found dog hairs similar to that of the Van Dam's family dog. Prosecutors argued the dog hair was clinging to the Van Dam's pajamas when Westerfield kidnapped her from her bedroom. Westerfield was convicted of Van Dam's abduction and murder and was sentenced to death on August 21st, 2002. This is the kind of case we've seen most often, when we find a body wrapped in a comforter, sheet, or tape, and there's animal hair stuck in the material, says Lindquist. The unique thing about animal hair is that dogs and cats groom themselves, so they are putting saliva on the shaft of the hair. We are more likely to find DNA on animal hair than on human hair because animal saliva is individual. Then animal DNA can be used as one of the pieces of the evidence puzzle.
Wow, that does make sense. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Very cool.
Ain't no miscalculating that.
This last one is not a crime, but kind of spooky scary and also very interesting.
Ooh.
It is called Oscar the Grim Reaper.
Oh.
It's about a cat.
We have a cat named Oscar, too.
No. I didn't even think of that. So, Oscar has an uncanny knack for knowing when residents at a nursing home in Rhode Island are going to die.
Oh.
He sits on their bed until the event happens.
Oh my god. Like, Oscar, you are not
Oscar.
sleeping with me tonight, okay? Go away.
At first, Oscar's gift seemed a bit creepy. The gray and white feline, raised in a dementia unit at Steer House Nursing and Rehabilitation Center in Rhode Island, could predict when residents were close to death, staying curled up in a ball beside them during their final hours. Some who learned about his gift likened Oscar to the Grim Reaper, but rehab center staff viewed his unusual abilities as a gift, as it gave them time to summon family members to the bedside of their loved ones. Plus, the residents had a comforting presence next to them as they readied to die, even if they weren't fully conscious.
Can you imagine if you're just, like, on lunch break or something, and then, like, Oscar comes over to chill by you, and you're like, bro.
I'm just like, ooh.
What does this mean? Not today, homie.
Oscar was adopted by the facility from an animal shelter when he was a kitten. The hope was to raise him as a therapy cat, but he didn't really take to people, at least not those who were healthy. Instead, at about 6 months of age, he began making the rounds with the medical staff, heading into each room to sniff and observe the patients. If someone's death was imminent, he'd hop into the bed and remain until he or she died, which was typically within 4 hours. By 2010, he had accurately forecasted some 50 deaths and was better at predicting someone's death than the medical staff.
Wow.
No one is certain how Oscar's gift works. Some theorize he can smell certain scents that humans can't. Others think that he's learned something from the behaviors of nurses at the center. But what is certain is this. Oscar has been thanked by families in obituaries. He's the subject of a book. And there's a wall plaque at the center commending him for his compassionate hospice care. Not bad for a shelter kitty.
Oh, my heart.
I know.
Oh my god. What a little angel baby.
So sweet.
I wonder, I mean, there's a reason that, like, a lot of, like, spiritual people like to keep cats around, because it's to ward off, like, evil spirits and everything, and it's just, like, to protect you, you know? So I wonder maybe if he might know in, like, a spiritual sense, or with just, like, scent. Like, what if we do kind of, like, release, like, a hormone or something that he can smell?
Something, yeah.
Oh my god.
And, you know, it kind of is, like, Grim Reaper-ish, but I don't necessarily see the Grim Reaper as, like, a bad thing.
Mm-mm.
It's like an escort.
Yeah.
Like a helper. Have you seen those comics? Boy, was I bawling my fucking eyes out the other day. It's a comic, and it's, like, a little black cat ghost standing over his dead body. And the Grim Reaper's there. And the Grim Reaper's like, did you go too close to the road again? And the little black cat's like, no, they hit me on purpose. And he's like, humans can be so cruel. And he's laying flowers on... The Grim Reaper's laying flowers on the cat's body. And the little cat's like, but I didn't get to say goodbye to her.
Oh my god.
Can we go say goodbye? And then he goes and says... Or he goes to see the little old lady that's been taking care of him. And she's like... You haven't come back for your food. He hasn't eaten any of his food. I mean, it's just so sad.
Why? Oh.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
I was literally bawling, and I was upset that I was crying.
Oh my god.
Because of a cat comic. Jonathan's like, were you crying? I was like, yes. There was a sad cat comic.
Well, it's just kind of like that one where it's like, was I a good boy? And the Grim Reaper's like, no, I was told you were the goodest or the greatest. The feels.
I know, and these depictions of the Grim Reaper as like a compassionate character, you know, I kind of like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because what if it is like everybody? I mean, I guess like we fear the Reaper, haha, like the song. But
seasons don't fear the Reaper.
Because it's the unknown, and he could be a nice guy, but everybody is so afraid of death. And I think it's like one of the main reasons for religion, too. Because it's also like, how are you going to explain death to a child? You know, like that's where kind of like religion kind of comes in as like a cushion of like, okay, well, we won't live forever, but when we die, we will go somewhere great and magical and special.
Yeah, so don't worry about it. It'll be fine. I was having like an existential crisis the other day. We recently lost one of our like really, really freaking young friends to cancer. And I was just like panicking, like, oh my god. I'm not religious. It's like, there's nothingness for me at that point. I don't know. I was really stressed out.
Oh.
Just a little existentialism, but we're good now.
You just kind of need that to fuck up your day a little bit, and then, alright, I'm good.
Jesus.
Yeah. I don't know. So do you still believe in, like, the vast nothingness when we die?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not, like, concrete on absolutely nothing, no possible way, but, like, I tend to lead towards more, like, logical and explainable things. Mm-hmm. Not that things that aren't logical and things that aren't explainable don't exist, but that's just where I go. I don't know.
Yeah. That makes sense. I would say, for, like, my side, definitely more spiritual. I mean, I did kind of grow up, like, really religious. And, but I don't believe, I mean, okay, I believe in the sense of God is the, like, I don't know how to explain it without sounding crazy. I don't believe he's a guy who's like, shame on you for fornicating. I believe that that's, like, the main energy power source. And I feel like we are all recycled,
that's,
like, energy, basically.
100%. That is, like, my concept of God, if it's God.
Yeah.
And Jonathan, too. Like Mother Nature. God is just, like, a power greater than you. Mother Nature definitely is a power greater than me. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know, that doesn't necessarily say anything about intelligent design or where we go when we die.
Yeah. Or the Grim Reaper. But I definitely do believe in, like, angels are known as, like, the positive light force that is, I don't know. It's like the butterfly effect, you know? Like, maybe that little Oscar was here as a little gift to, like, a little light walker to help people go to the light, and then what if Oscar was never born? Like, I don't know. It's just, like, if you kind of go down, like, the whole butterfly effect, it's insane.
Yeah, is everything, like, meant to be on these predetermined paths?
Yep, scientifically proven that we create our own reality.
Yeah. Well, shit, that escalated quickly.
That did.
I don't know.
That was fun.
I like that one.
Alrighty, heavy sigh. Well, thank you, Therapist Pinky, for letting me tell you about my embarrassing hospital story, and I will continue to play my game, and hopefully my next future ex-husband will not know.
That'll be $152 for services.
Alright, I'll Venmo you.
Alright, that's it for this week. You're welcome.
You're welcome. Scare you later, B.
Deuces.
That wraps up the Spooky Scary Show. If you've enjoyed this podcast, click that like or follow button. We are available on Spotify, iTunes, and all major podcast streaming services. Spooky Scary Show is an independent podcast with big dreams. So if you would like to show your support, check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/Spooky Scary Show. Also, join in on the conversation. Follow us on Instagram at Spooky Scary Show for science and spooky facts. Scare you later.